Hi, my name is Max, and throughout recent years I've noticed a concerning, relevant example of political horseshoe theory. But first, some context. I'm a war history geek, specifically with the World Wars, so I naturally get a lot of historical media. I especially enjoy the refined, colorized photos that tell a story in just a frame, reminding me on a deeper level these were all just people shaped by their circumstances. I am fascinated by German wonder weapons, or Wunderwaffen, mainly because they were so ahead of their time, producing the first operational jet fighter, long-range guided ballistic missile, and many late war designs that look straight out of the Cold War. No wonder we took all of their scientists. Anyways, commonly under the posts of German weapons or vehicles, there's a lot of Nazi apologists, and it felt like the Nazi support and Jew hate only became more and more prevalent. So I did some research to see if anti-Semitism is actually rising, and if there's a political demographic overrepresenting. And oh boy, anti-Semitism is rising. This is consistent across the Anti-Defamation League, Combat Anti-Semitism, the FBI hate crime statistics, and many others. The October 7th attack seems to be the catalyst, and Israeli response stoked the rise. As for political demographics leading in anti-Semitism, the ADL corroborates this statistic. Thousands of anti-Semitic incidents occurred at or in the vicinity of anti-Israel rallies, many of which were organized by left-wing groups. What I would consider good faith critiques of Israel and Jewish communities has been labeled as anti-Semitism by Combat Anti-Semitism and especially the ADL. Recently, Tyler Oliveira has published an investigative-style video on a Jewish community within upstate New York. He documents how they take advantage of the welfare system to fund their large families.
How many kids do most people have out here?
17, 18.
He tries to ask questions about their lifestyle, employment, etc., but often gets the cold shoulder. It's possible he cuts out clips to push a narrative, but in my opinion, the content itself always comes across as authentic, despite the video titles and thumbnails being a little provocative. The ADL says this video makes outrageous claims that harken back to age-old anti-Semitic stereotypes. He entered the community, pressed record, documented what was going on, and the ADL says it harkens back to age-old anti-Semitic stereotypes. And he got deplatformed. Holy self-report. So in my opinion, both of these statistic reports are inflated. I'd estimate the anti-Semitism labeled by the ADL was mislabeled by 40, maybe even 50% if you use the strictest definition of anti-Semitism, and around 35% for combat anti-Semitism, as their criteria was more straightforward and transparent. Their implicit indicators were definitely weak, indicating the terms used are common among, but not exclusive to, far-left circles. Settler colonialism, Israel apartheid, and genocide attributed to delegitimize Jewish statehood and self-determinations. I disagree with that. These terms were simply more likely used to criticize how Israel was operating. Despite there being some inflation in these numbers, they are still concerning. The sudden and massive influx of anti-Israeli rhetoric has increased all subgroups within this larger umbrella. Defined in Encyclopedia Britannica, Zionism, Jewish nationalist movement with the goal of the creation and support of a Jewish national state in Palestine, the ancient homeland of the Jews. Ethno-nationalism is more accurate to Israel as they are defined by ethnicity and have an ethnocentric approach to political issues. Asman should be familiar with ethnocentrism.
They have genocide built into Sharia law right now. These people are not your allies. They are not the same as us. They come from an inferior culture that is horrible. It kills people for their identity, and it is directly antithetical to everything Western values stand for, and it is an inferior culture in all ways.
He apologized for that, by the way. Anti-Zionism has been around roughly as long as Zionism itself, its earliest proponents being Jewish thinkers. It has since branched off into many various forms. Arab and Palestinian anti-Zionism, Christian anti-Zionism, right and left-wing anti-Zionism, these just being a few. I'm not going to go into what each of these are, but I do want to get into the massive increase of left-wing anti-Zionism in the US. The increase was caused by Israeli response to October 7th, which has been brutal, causing a lot of civilian suffering. This by itself has created a lot of outrage, which is then multiplied by one-sided media framing, biased reporting, like publishing civilian casualty counts that actually make no distinction between combatant and civilian. All of this creates intense hatred for Israel, which does bubble over into anti-Semitism.
This is our school, and they're not letting me walk in.
And they said, we know who you are. We know that you're a biology PhD student. You're not welcome on this campus. I was not there to counter-protest. I was not there to cause any sort of issue. One of my friends had his personal property removed from him and lit on fire. I've heard on campus in videos, but also I've seen it firsthand myself, people yell, Jews, Jews, go back to Poland. Explicatives that I do not want to say on this program, gas the Jews. And then I've seen these same things that you've seen, that we should be the next targets of Hamas and their terrorist brigades.
And even after all this evidence, if you tell the average left-wing anti-Zionist that anti-Zionism can lead to anti-Semitism, or even mention that left-wing anti-Semitism exists, and God forbid you mention it's rising, you can literally see the steam exiting their ears as they tell you it's only a right-wing issue. A quote from Asmongold outlines why this response is problematic, and to paraphrase it, if you don't ostracize the radical individuals and rhetoric that exist within your group, you quickly become defined by them. Far-right anti-Semitism is still generally more extreme in practice. According to Combat Anti-Semitism's report, when the far right commits anti-Semitic acts, they are more likely to result in violence or vandalism. The far right also spreads anti-Semitic conspiracy theories with their own justifications, usually based on feelings, hunches, and groupthink. Some popular ones being Jews greatly controlling world affairs, inventing or exaggerating the Holocaust. You can confront them with German documentation of deaths, the mass graves, the existence of death camps, and how they died up until the very end during the forced marches, but no amount of evidence ever makes a difference. Some of their theories do have half-truths. Who owned the child brothels in 1930s Germany, and who got rid of them? It's true that there were child brothels in 1930s Germany, and it's also true that Hitler got rid of them. But they weren't all owned by Jews. Religion is also widespread within these echo chambers.
Reynald of Chatillon will be punished. I swear it. Withdrawal, we will all die here.
I also think Alex Jones' general idea of an elite pedophilic ring ending up being pretty accurate cemented the conspiracy mindset. I was right once, so I'm right about all of it. So we've got the far left that's slowly creeping towards anti-Semitism and the far right that's been anti-Semitic, creating this pristine example of political horseshoe theory. It leads me to believe that whichever presidential candidate runs on requiring AIPAC to register as a foreign agent and revoke their tax exemption status will probably win. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I am not suicidal.